Hello and welcome to another Sprues and Brews unboxing. Today we're looking at the latest release for Warcry, Pyre and Flood. So first of all I want to say a massive thanks to Games Workshop for sending us free review copies to have a look at on the site. What we're going to be doing in this video is having a look at the kits inside the box, seeing how they go together, building them up, hopefully get some paint on them, and then having a look through the Pyre and Flood supplement to see what these guys do in games of Warcry. But yeah, as you can see from the cover, this is a new Warcry set, pitting the Lumineth against the Nighthaunt. And as ever, we get two awesome new warbands in here. So for the Lumineth, we get the Idrillian Riverblades, I think that is. So this is a new unit of the River Temple. They look quite nice. They've got a bit of a Harlequin vibe to them in their poses. Obviously these have been mentioned in the lore in the Dawnbringer series as well, and I suspect there'll be rules for them coming very soon. And they're up against the Pyregeists of the Nighthaunt, and these are cool. They're kind of like ghosts in magical flame, and I really like this Deacon of Flames as well. He's really cool. Also in the box as well is a new scenery kit, the Idol of the Old Ones, so that's really cool. Obviously we've seen, as we've gone through the kind of Warcry storyline this season, we've got towards the ship, the Idol Axis, and obviously we're starting to see more of the kind of like Seraphon ruins, so parts of the spaceship. So that's a really nice scenery kit. So looking forward to seeing quite how big that is in the flesh. So yeah, what we'll do is have a look at all the kits. We'll see how they go together. I'm hoping to get some of these painted up as well, and we're planning on doing some battle reports as well. I think this would be a nice one to do, because Warcry is nice, kind of like, you know, fast-paced little game, isn't it? And then obviously in the second half of the video as well, we'll be having a look at the book in here too, and seeing kind of what laws new, what rules are new, all that good stuff. So without further ado, should we crack open the box and have a look at what is inside? So it's quite a slimline box, and it feels quite jam-packed full. So we move that to one side and take this cover off here. It is full to the brim of sprues. So first out of the box, we've got the Lumineth, the River Temple guys. And yeah, these look really nice. Obviously this looks like it's the first of the kind of River Temple stuff that we've seen. We've seen like the wind aspect stuff and the mountain aspect stuff. So it wouldn't surprise me if there's some more river kits that maybe go alongside this. Maybe in a future release for Age of Sigmar. Now, we've seen that the next edition of Age of Sigmar is on the way too. So it wouldn't surprise me if, you know, all the factions get some love there. And it also wouldn't surprise me if Lumineth, one of the early books, and, you know, they get their next wave of stuff to kind of expand them out into a full army. But yeah, they're really cool. I think Jay's going to be painting up these Lumineth for us. He's got a big Lumineth force, and he's a big fan of the elves in all systems, so he's going to be working on those. What interests me though are the new ghosts. So I'm a big Nighthaunt fan, and they've had some really cool models over the years. Obviously we saw them introduced in the second edition of Age of Sigmar, and since then we've had some really cool new stuff added for them, like the crossbow guys in the recent edition that's just gone. But these are very, very nice kits. Again, it shows that there's a few different things you can do while keeping the kind of like silhouette and the, I guess, the feel of the Nighthaunt. These guys are all engulfed in magical flame, so I guess it gives you something different to do with your painting as well. So yeah, really looking forward to working on these guys. I'm going to paint them up to match the rest of my Nighthaunt, because I think they're going to be really, really fun to do. We then get the scenery piece, and again there's a lot of pieces there for that scenery piece. I guess because it's, you know, 3D and curved, it's built up in little sections. But there's some nice potential for scatter scenery, you know, basing and stuff in this one. And, you know, if you can get your hands on a couple of these kits, you could potentially use it to base up a Seraphon army or something. So yeah, that looks obviously quite a few pieces, so it might be a bit of a complex one to build, and hopefully there's no gaps and funkiness like there was in the Moor Pit, which was a bit of a pain to build. I'm hoping this one's a little bit easier. But yeah, it certainly looks cool. I'm looking forward to painting that up. So we've also got all the paper materials in here. We'll have a proper look at the, you know, all the cards and the book as well. And it's worth noting that Games Workshop have kind of stopped with the single-use plastics covering all the paper materials, and they're now in little card trays and boxes and stuff, which is really cool. So I'll have a look at that in a little second, but before we get to there, let's just have a quick look at the assembly instructions and see how this stuff goes together. Now, as ever with Warcry and Kill Team, I do recommend having a good kind of read of the rules before you kind of start putting together your warbands, just because, you know, there's different rules for different ways of building them and arming with different weapons. It's good to have an idea of, you know, what you want the construction of your warband to be. And obviously some of the models in here will be able to build 2 different options, so yeah, I'd always recommend having a, you know, full read through. Make sure you're kind of happy with the options before you start putting them together. So obviously even the leader of this warband, you've got a few different options there, and again we see throughout. I guess for somebody who's not played it, maybe have a mix of weapons, so you've got some different options in there, but obviously someone more familiar with the game will know what kind of playstyle they want and what they want to lean to as well. So yeah, it looks like there's quite a few options. Now obviously if you pick up 2 boxes, you can probably cover all the different options of unit. But, you know, if you're just picking up this box and you're new to the game, try and have a different mix of stuff so you've got kind of all options accounted for. But yeah, the Lumineth look really nice too. I've not actually built any Lumineth myself, so looking forward to seeing what Jay does with these guys. He's never been super keen on Warcry because he's not had a warband that kind of really cries out to him. So with these being a nice, you know, Elven Order warband, I think this is going to appeal to him a lot more than other stuff we've seen in the past. And yeah, they look really, really cool. So hopefully in the second half of the video I'll have these painted up. And then finally we've got the assembly instructions for the idol there. And yeah, it's a lot of pieces together. So this one might take a little time to build, but again, it should look really nice when it's built up. So yeah, let's skip to the future and we'll have a look at all the kind of paper materials within the box. So let's check out the Pyre and Flood book and see what is new with these Warcry warbands. So as with all of the other you know, Warcry boxes we've had recently, obviously this tells the tale of 2 different warbands venturing into the Gnarlwood. We've got the Lumineth, who are from the River Temple. So basically their job is to purify rivers, get rid of the taint of evil, and basically expand the flow of this great river that they follow. It mentions their the river spirits that they work with, one of which is the form of a giant horse made of water. They've not seen this spirit for a long time, but they believe that if they can get the rivers flowing again and kind of remove the taint of evil, that this will return. Dykso Whitecrest is what it's called, and I fully suspect this is going to be a new unit coming for the Lumineth in the next edition of Age of Sigmar. It wouldn't surprise me if we get a lot of River Temple stuff within the next battle tome. So yeah, really good to see some kind of lore and background for them. From a, I guess, a lore point of view, it looks like they operate quite a lot like the old War Dancers, where they've got kind of different abilities based on the ebb and flow of the river, which is pretty cool. So yeah, we learn a lot about them. We also learn about the Pyre as well. So if you're an Age of Sigmar fan, you'll know that Nagash has got a bit of a cruel sense of humour, and essentially anyone who's committed a crime or kind of a slight against him, in the afterlife they get what they've done twisted into something really cruel. So the Pyre are essentially people who've helped kind of cure the soul or heal the soul. So embalmers and priests and like funerary monks and stuff like that, who are all about kind of making sure the soul gets to the afterlife in one piece and doesn't get ensnared by Nagash. Obviously Nagash isn't a fan of those really, and so in the afterlife he torments them by making them Pyregeists. And these are essentially spirits that attack and devour the soul. They burn it. They're quite cruel and nasty things, again as a kind of cruel mirror to what they did in life. And again, another interesting thing, I really like kind of reading about all of the kind of cruel takes on what they've done in life through Nagash's twisted kind of view on it. So yeah, we learn about them. We also learn about the ship as well. The scenery piece in the box is part of the Seraphon ship, and it controls the weather. So with that, the Lumineth are having a bit of a difficult time kind of purifying the river until this is deactivated. But obviously when they're trying to do that, they're getting attacked by Seraphon, who are trying to stop them from kind of meddling with the device, and with the Pyre guys, who are just trying to burn the entire Gnarlwood down on Nagash's orders, while these guys are trying to open up this huge river that's kind of run dry. And with it, they're planning on basically purifying the entirety of the Gnarlwood and getting rid of all the evil in there. So that's essentially what the two kind of warbands are up to. As ever, we get some gorgeous shots of the miniatures. Now, at the time of filming this, because of Easter break and stuff, I'm filming it a little bit earlier than I would normally do, so I haven't managed to build the river blades yet. They look really cool. I have built up the Nighthaunt, which we'll see in the second half of the video, and the scenery piece as well. Jay's going to be working on those, so hopefully by the time the article goes out, we've got some shots of these built and some paint on them too. But yeah, unfortunately for the time of filming this video, I haven't got them to hand. I do have the Pyre guys, however. Again, they're not painted yet because I've been focusing on Blood Bowl and Kill Team and all sorts of stuff that's on pre-order today. But likewise, by the time this goes out, hopefully I've got a couple of these painted over on the website as well, on spruesandbrews.com. So yeah, the format of this, very similar to what we've had in previous Warcry tomes. We get the rules for the two factions, and then we get lots of supplemental stuff in there, which we'll have a quick look through in a little bit. So the river blades themselves, they're quite cool. So they hit quite hard, they're quite fast. We've got pretty high movement across them. Toughness 4 on most things, 3 on the little ones. And we've got, you know, strengths 4 and 5 going across. Again, the littler ones are hitting a little bit less, but yeah, they're pretty good in a fight, and they've got some nice abilities too. So their unique reaction, when they get attacked before any dice are rolled, they can call to do it, and if the opponent rolls any ones, they take 3 damage. Now if the Crest Blades, so that's one of the normal stream runners, does that ability, all enemy fighters within an inch take 3 points of damage. So that's really cool if you've got people clumped upon you and you just risk it for a biscuit and try and get them to roll some ones. You can do quite a lot of damage to the opposing side, which is really fun. As for their abilities, they've got a double river blades. You add 1 to their move characteristic, and then after every action they take on a 2+, you do 1 damage to an enemy fighter within 8 inches. So it's only 1 damage, it's not a lot, but that could be a nice way of just finishing off an opponent, without having to go near them while you're doing something else. So quite like that. We've got the Rapids Rising Leap, which is a double, and that allows your heroes to fly, which is pretty good. They can only go as high as 3 inches, but obviously it lets them pass scenery without any, slowing down to their speed, so that's pretty handy. We've got White Crest Strike. Until the end of the activation, add 1 to the strength characteristic of attacks. Again, they're all pretty strong anyway, so that makes them hit pretty hard. Standing Wave Stance, that's an interesting one. They've got to stand still, so you can't move with it, but it increases your attacks by 1 and your strength by 1 for that activation. And then until the end of the battle round, it also increases your toughness by 1 as well. So that's a pretty good triple. I quite like that one, but obviously it does limit you without having to move. But if you know you're going to get attacked, or if you're already in position to attack and you don't have to move, then you can pop this. Obviously it's a bit situational compared to the other ones, but it's a pretty cool ability. We've got Release the River. This is a good one that really kind of like increases the movement of your fighters. You add half of the value to all friendly fighters within 6 inches to their movement. So again, really gets them up the battlefield. So that's really cool. And then Boiling Wrath is their quad. The fighter makes a number of bonus actions, and it is based on the number of fighters in the battle group that have been taken down. So obviously the more your force is getting battered, the more bonus actions you're going to have there. So obviously at the end of a round maybe, where things are looking a bit dicey, that could really allow you to equalise the odds a bit with a lot of attack actions and move actions, the objectives and the like. So yeah, lots of cool abilities with them. I quite like these guys. Now meanwhile, the Pyregeists have some really interesting mechanics too. So they don't have a unique reaction. Instead, they've got a special rule called Balefire Cremation. So some of their abilities cause things to get a cremation token when they're killed. Essentially, they use the biofire to, you know, purge the target. Those cremation tokens stay on the battlefield, and at the end of every battle round, everything within an inch takes 3 damage. So that again is pretty cool. If you can kill people on objectives to kind of do this kind of persistent 3 damage every turn, that can be quite dangerous, especially since some of these can kill, you know, multiple heroes a turn and make areas quite deadly to walk into. So I think that's quite an interesting mechanic. Their double Fan of Fames increases the damage by 1. If you look at some of the damage, a lot of their criticals spike on like 5s and 4s, so for just a double, being able to spike 6 damage on your Deacon, for example, is pretty good. We've got the Curse, the Power Robber's Curse. So with that one, you add 1 to the strength of the fighter, and until the end of the turn, if they take something down with an attack, you cremate that fighter. So, you know, you remove them and put down one of these cremation tokens. Obviously with that one though, it is a bit of a gamble because you don't know if you are going to kill people. But the +1 strength's pretty good because again, you've got, you know, strength 4, 5 across your fighters. It's you can hit pretty hard with that. We've then got Unblinking Guardian, which can be done on your Balefire guys, and that basically adds 1 to the toughness of nearby heroes and elites. So again, you've got toughness, what, 5 across the board, so making them toughness 6 makes them really hard to shift. So nice little kind of defensive ability there for a double. For a triple like the Pyre, you can use that when you take an enemy down and you can cremate them. So you get to put down one of those cremation tokens. Quite expensive for a triple, compared to, you know, considering the early one adds 1 to your strength as well. But obviously the advantage of this one is that you use it after you've taken somebody down, so you're not having to gamble. It's a guaranteed cremation token, and like I say, depending on where you take that character down, that can become quite powerful, which is pretty cool. You've got Soul Blaze, that's pretty good. Again, can be used when you take someone down, and you pick a number of friendly fighters equal to half the value, and they can all make a bonus move or attack action, so that's pretty fun. And then finally, they've got a quad, Agonising Penance. This is pretty good. You pick an enemy fighter, they have to move towards the closest friendly fighter of theirs, so basically you move 2 of their characters next to each other. The target takes 3 damage, and then everyone else within 2 inches also takes 3 damage as well. So a nice little kind of explosion, and anyone taken down by that is cremated too. So if you've got a couple of people who are just clinging on with not much life left, essentially you can use that to make them run towards each other and then explode, and then become cremation tokens that do more further splash damage to stuff nearby. So yeah, I quite like the Pyregeist. They've got some fun abilities. Like I say, the rest of the book has some more gaming content in there too. So we get the rules for the Idol of the Old Ones, which is the unique terrain piece in this box. This is pretty cool, and again we'll see the model in a little bit at the end of the video. Essentially the gem on the top, you can use a triple to fire it off to do some damage, or for a double you can loot the kind of treasure trove within it, and you've got a chance of taking damage, of healing, or of getting a wild dice. So it's a bit of a gamble because you could take damage, but it's a pretty good one, and the terrain piece looks really nice as well. We also get rules for places of power in here. Now this is an optional rule, so both players have to agree if they want to use it, and essentially adds a number of extra rules on top of the normal scenery rules. I like the concept of this, but one of the advantages of Warcry is that, you know, the games are quite quick and punchy, and this adds another level on top of it which it doesn't really need. I don't think Warcry really needs complex scenery rules. Now, obviously if you want to do this, go for it, that's amazing. There's loads of stuff in here that lets you add that extra level of kind of narrative on there and interactiveness. But personally, I probably stick with the normal scenery rules for games, but you know, if you've got a themed event or something, that's really good. And then, like with all of the books, we get quests and campaigns for both of the factions in here too. So you know, that's been really good to expand out the kind of gaming content available for Warcry. While Warcry is fun as, you know, one-off pick-up games, campaigns and quests are really fun to do too. So what I will say, obviously a lot of the scenery cards in here do require the, I forget what it's called now, the recent Talaxis scenery set. So unfortunately, if you've only got the Gnarlwood sets that came out originally, you're not going to have all the scenery pieces. Let me see if I can find some maps in here. Well, in fact, there's no maps in there. I think the named missions in there have some maps, and again, they use the scenery out of that set. But yeah, it's a shame that that box isn't available at the minute, because I think that would make things a lot easier. And again, it's scenery that's different to the stuff in the core box. I would have liked to have seen a bit of a reissue of that, or even the accessory sprue, the scatter scenery, be put in this box, because obviously the other stuff is still available separately. So yeah, that was a quick look at the Pyre and Flood book. Before we close out though, I'll have a quick look at some of the models in here too. So we've got the Seraphon Ruin, and it's a sizable piece. If we get a Nighthaunt for scale, it's a fairly decent piece. You know, a block line of sight as well. You've got 2 different levels on it, so you've got a bit of interactive scenery. And it looked good for games of Age of Sigmar too, especially combined with the rest of the Seraphon scenery range that I just mentioned. You get a nice kind of like ruined Seraphon kind of environment. So yeah, looking forward to getting some paint on this, because it's a nice piece, and it wasn't too difficult to build either, compared to the Moor Pit, which was horribly warped to the paint to put together. This went together really easily. Like I say, we also built up the Nighthaunt too. I've not had a chance to get any paint on these guys yet, because it's been a very heavy day for reviews today. But I will be working on these over on spruesandbrews.com, because I collect Nighthaunt, and it'd be nice to get these painted up to match the rest of the collection. But there's some really fun models. They've done some great things with the Nighthaunt range, and yeah, presumably these will all get rules in the new edition of the game too, when Age of Sigmar 4 comes out. They weren't too difficult to build as well. In the past, some Nighthaunt stuff has been a bit of a faff to build, with some like unusual bits that stick together. But these went together fine. I didn't really have any issues with them, so yeah, I was very impressed with how they went. I quite like these little guys too. Little kind of flaming ghost things. I wouldn't decide how to paint them. Obviously the studio have gone for like bright greens and stuff, but I think actual flames might be quite good for them as well. But yeah, they're really, really fun. So that was a look at Pyre and Flood, the latest supplement for Warcry. Obviously we know there's another box soon on the way too. It seems that we're back to the kind of normal release schedule of seeing these every 3 months or so, which is cool. Really, really fun book, really fun warbands. I'd like to see us move out of the Gnarlwood and get some different environments. I suppose the one plus side to this is that the Seraphon style scenery has mixed it up a bit, so that works really well for Age of Sigmar 2, and it means that we haven't got too much of a similar collection compared to, say, the Gallow Dark stuff in 40k, where we got lots of the same sprue. In Warcry, at least, there's a more kind of varied collection, so good to see that. I'd just like to see something different. Maybe, as we move into the 4th edition, we get things related to the new cities that are being founded as part of the Dawnbringer Crusade or something like that. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, why not give us a follow. We've also got a full write-up of the book over on spruesandbrews.com as well. We'll go more detail into the warbands and how they play. I'll have images of all the cards and everything on there as well. If you want to see kind of the stats and what they do, that'll all be over on the website. If you would like to support the site as well, we do have an affiliate link to Element Games. If you use that, we get a bit of a kickback, which helps support the site and helps go towards kind of making videos like this. But yeah, until next time, have a great weekend. We'll see you soon.